Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Built In Buffalo Tailgate Live. This is not Stokes and DM3, but this is Arich Ben Shoop. If you don't know us by now, please get to know us only on the Built In Buffalo Network. Ben, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Another game day. Anytime you wake up and it's game day, it's always a good feeling. But it's a bit better if the day ends with a Bills W.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell, for those who do know me and have seen me before, this is not my usual background. But we're gonna still have a good time, still have a great show. So, but excited for some Buffalo Bills football in just under 2 hours.
Most definitely presented by Picasso's Pizza. Built in Buffalo is presented. If you are watching on Facebook, please give this a like. Please give this a share. If you're watching on YouTube, please give this a like and please subscribe to the Built in Buffalo YouTube channel. Last but not least, if you are watching on X, please give this a like. Please give this a repost. Now let's dive into the game a little bit. Let's dive into the pregame. Ben, the Buffalo Bills are 1-1. Big bounce back game last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now we want to see that compound. We want to see that the sustainable success this week coming in to the Washington Commanders. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how is the weather looking in Washington right now? Because the Buffalo Bills under weather conditions and how they play and how they struggle to hold on to the football is kind of concerning to me. So do you have any ideas on how the weather is going to be and your thoughts on how the Buffalo Bills perform under weather conditions like this?
Yeah, I mean the weather. When it comes to the weather, especially like rainy weather, that definitely can be a concern with a team like the Bills because we're a pass heavy team. Ball gets wet, can slip here and there, even bounce out of hands and everything. Like anything bad can happen in rainy weather.
Mm-hmm.
Some people even a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people even think it's worse than snow, which obviously we as Buffalonians know how much snow can affect a game. Although I will say this, over the past few years, they've struggled in some bad weather games. But I think this year, they brought in Damian Harris. We all know what Damian Harris can do in bad weather games. He's,
Mm-hmm.
made the Bills pay a lot of times in bad weather games. So they'd have brought people in, to just get the ball in their hands and make plays, which I think can help in a game like this. So it's not as big of a concern as it once was to me. It still is a concern when it comes to just throwing the ball downfield, seeing how the ball is going to come out of Allen's hand, seeing how the ball is going to hit the receiver's hands. But at the end of the day, I still would think that the Bills can do a lot of damage on the offensive side of the football. They like I said with Damian Harris, they brought in James Cook, had a great game last week. I expect him again to still have a good game this week. Latavius Murray, I think you could see a lot too. I just think get the running backs involved, get even Deontay Hardy involved. Just get the ball in these playmakers' hands, let them make plays. Don't force anything like last week. Take what's given. I mean, a lot of times you see teams in bad weather games want to, take shots here and there and push the ball downfield just due to the fact that they know that the weather's bad and if they have to they have to take chances here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you shouldn't be as concerned as you once were. And as Izzy is saying even in the comments here, the weather report does say that rain should end at 11:15, so about 10 minutes from now. So that's a good sign. But even if it does rain, I'm not as concerned as I once was, just due to the running back room that they have now, and seeing what happened last week, and seeing that the Bills can run the ball pretty well if they decide to put their mind to it and stick with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm curious and interested in seeing from the Buffalo Bills. How do they come out schematically on the offensive side of the ball in this bad weather condition? Is Ken Dorsey going to scheme up the game plan as if the weather's fine and the weather is not going to hinder the playbook and the calls? Or did they get that thought process all week that, hey, it's going to be bad in Washington when we go out there Sunday? Let's go ahead and game plan around the bad weather so we can be prepared for what may happen in Washington. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the game or what the game plan is offensively for the Buffalo Bills in these weather conditions. Now, Shoop, obviously the Buffalo Bills are one of the elites in the NFL, and I'm curious to know what's your definition of a trap game, and is this one for the Buffalo Bills?
I think a trap game, in my opinion, is just when you look at the schedule and you look at, a game or two, and you're like, okay, those games should be wins. Like you look at a 2 or 3 game stretch that those should all be wins. And you had last week going in, Raiders should have been a win. It was in a very dominating fashion.
Mm-hmm.
You won in a dominating fashion. Now you come in, that could be a trap game. I will say this is one of those ones that it's tough for me to say it's a trap game, because if the Commanders weren't 2-0, I would say it is. But with the Commanders 2-0, I think the Commanders will still be on that, they're a little head high right now. They could be head high at least. And, it could be the complete opposite. They could be, still saying, no, we have a lot to prove. But if they were 1-1, 0-2, especially 0-2, I could see, okay, the Bills being like, oh, we just won big. We're playing an 0-2 team. It's going to be a cakewalk. And then we all know what happens in trap games. It can get ugly sometimes. So I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I guess I would say, if I had to say a definitive yes or no, I would say no. But I could see the argument being made both ways for it to be a trap game. It's just, if week 3, I feel like with how the season started against the Jets, the Bills are going to still know that they need to prove a point here. And there's still going to be naysayers after watching that Jets game. Even though they beat the Raiders, people are going to, be saying it was the Raiders, whatever, not impressive. So I think the Bills will go in with a good mindset. If this was maybe week 8 or 9 and the Bills were 5-2, yeah, I might say it's a bigger trap game than it is. So I think it depends on timing. It depends on a lot of different things. So right now I'm going to say no. But, if they end up not coming out right and they come out slow, then I could be looking at a pretty wrong take here. But it's on the fence. I think you could say it's on the fence.
On the fence. I like it. And you're right. It can be looked at as on the fence, and I'll go ahead and take it a step further. Perception, I believe, it is a trap game. The reason why I say perception equals trap game is because it's the Washington Commanders, right? They've been going through something similar to the Buffalo Bills been going through before they ended their playoff drought. The Washington Commanders, they're looked at as their owner is looked at as kind of a joke in the NFL. Before they changed around. The name changing before the Washington football team, the Washington Redskins, the Washington Commanders. I think that a lot of people slighted Washington for that. And then you have the NFC East, where that's the division they're in, where Dallas made the playoffs and Philly made the playoffs and the Giants made the playoffs. And the only team that didn't make the playoffs is the Washington Commanders. So perception says, yes, this is a trap game for the Buffalo Bills. But reality says no, not at all. This is an actual game that the Buffalo Bills are going to have to go out on the road and win. We're talking about a team in Sam Howell, who's playing excellent football through 4 games to start his career. Whether it's 4 games, 2 games, 1 game, or 100, he's playing well to start his career. You have weapons on that offense in Scary Terry and Johan Dotson and Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel. So Brian Robinson Jr., they have weapons on offense. Logan Thomas, even though he's out today, Logan Thomas made a name for himself as a quality tight end in this league. And then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, they drafted a young, impressive kid in Emmanuel Forbes as corner. They have first pick overall, Chase Young. Deron Payne just got paid. Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. So that's a very talented football team on both sides of the ball. And when you really look and deep dive into their roster, you see that this is not a trap game at all. The Washington Commanders, are a underrated and capable football team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's they're 2-0 for a reason, and I know people are saying, like, we talked about it a couple days ago. Oh, they beat, who'd they beat? They beat the Cardinals and they beat the Broncos, and what people aren't impressed by that. Look, at the end of the day, a win in the NFL is a win in the NFL, and if you ask every team in the NFL, they will say the same thing. Doesn't matter how you get it. Doesn't matter if it's a 45-point blowout. Doesn't matter if it's a last-second field goal. A win is a win in the NFL. And I will also say, I found it funny when you were talking about the names of the teams. This is actually, I believe, the third out of the last 3 times the Bills have played Washington. It's been the name change each time. So before this last time, it was a football team, and then before that, it was the Redskins. So yeah, it's funny how it is, and I guess if you look at it, like you said, if you look at it certain ways, you can say yes, you can say no. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, we both, when we're looking at it, they're 2-0. This is not a team that to be slept on, and they might not be the tip top of the NFL yet, but they're showing big improvements already with Eric Bieniemy, already with even just Sam Howell under center. So yeah, this is a good team, and they can't be taken lightly. And I don't think the Bills will come out and take it lightly. They know it's early in the season; they still have a point to prove.
Yeah, and again, they played Arizona, they played Denver, but it's not like, college football when, the college football coaches make their choices. They want to play McNeese State and UNC Charlotte to begin the season. You can't control who you play, and who they did play, they took advantage of and won the game. So they're 2-0 for a reason, regardless of their schedule and who they played. But moving on. Our guy, Josh Allen, has had an up and down literally to start the season. He started against the New York Jets. He threw 3 interceptions. He had that turnover. The Buffalo Bills lost the game, probably lost the game they should have won with Aaron Rodgers going out, right? Then a week later, he have to battle the scrutiny and the speculations and the harsh criticisms all week. Then a week later, he comes and he performs to a level of offensive player of the week, right? So week 3, what is your level of expectation for Josh Allen coming into this type of matchup against the Washington Commanders?
Expectations, that's a tough one, just because I think at the end of the day, when you look at every Josh Allen game and you go into every Josh Allen game, it's going to depend on just how he wants it to be. Because if he's going to take everything that's given to him like he did last week, it will be a great day. But if he gets a little impatient and it's a close game going into the third, going into the fourth, whatever, he could start to try to push some balls downfield. He could force some things. And that's just the style of player he is, because he just wants to win. So this type of game, I will say I'm a little bit nervous going into a game like this, with weather, with everything. I could see Allen maybe getting a little ahead of himself and forcing some throws, or just taking some shots when he shouldn't. But I think we saw last week that he is learning to just take what's given. Right. And it will really just depend on if he's going to continue to improve on that and continue to take what's given. Because look, this team, yes, they have a great defensive line. They have young cornerback in Forbes. They have a solid one opposite of him in Kendall Fuller. Their linebackers aren't really a linebacking core that scares me. And I think if Allen can just take advantage of that in that box there and run the football, stay on running the football, take just your 5-yard dinks and dives, take what's given, he'll have a great day. And I think he will continue to do that. I think Dorsey, with the weather, knowing the weather is going to be, we don't really know, it could be bad, it could be all right, but going into the mindset of, this could be a bad weather game. Let's have the game plan of just get it rolling, get the ball out quick. Like I said earlier, just get the ball in your playmakers' hands. So I think I don't expect him to, throw for 5 touchdowns today. I don't expect him to throw for even, 4. I think you could see maybe a 2-touchdown game from Josh. 50, 60 rushing yards. He gets out of the pocket, because this defensive line, I think, could be a defensive line that gets to him a little bit and forces him out of the pocket. So I think you could see him use his legs a lot today. So I wouldn't expect too much in the air, honestly. Just at least when it comes to pushing the ball downfield, I think you will see just get the ball out because of this defensive line as well. So I don't have super high expectations. I don't think he'll be offensive player of the week. I'll say that. I don't think he'll do back to back because I think they'll just lean on the run game a little more today than they usually would. So I honestly expect James Cook to have a big day. Damian Harris, I expect to have a big day. So yeah, I don't have too high of expectations of Josh Allen, which is kind of a rarity in the past since he's gotten on the Buffalo Bills team because you've just expected everything's on Josh's shoulders. It's all on Josh. It comes down to the Bills are going to win. Josh is going to have at least an above average game. But I think today changes things. I think last week you saw that it can be different. This offense can run differently. So I'd expect the run game to be leaned on a little more and Josh to use his legs a little more today than he was forced to against the Raiders.
And I think that's totally possible, especially with, the bad weather. I will say, patience, protect the football. That's the most important thing, especially in today's game. Having patience, taking what's given to you, and not turning over the ball. And once you have your patience, you open up the short game, and he can open up so many other things once he having success in the short and intermediate game. So Josh Allen to me is all about taking care of the football. It's okay to be a game manager in games like today. We're not saying that your overall game is being a game manager, but this is the day where you want to protect the football. You want to have as much pressure off of you. You want to make the best high IQ play, whether that's throwing the ball or passing the ball. And you want to be able to have a successful play every play, not getting behind the sticks and not turning the ball over are successful plays for Josh Allen and that Buffalo Bills offense. So as long as he continues to take what the defense gives him and make the smart decisions, make the smart play, take care and hold on to the football, I think Josh Allen will have a fine game. Will he have a 4-touchdown or 3-touchdown game? Probably not, but that's okay. As long as you lead the team to victory, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think one guy today that he needs to utilize, and I think we've started to see it, we saw it a little bit bumped up from last week, and I think you're going to continue to see it bumped up, is Dalton Kincaid. I think you're going to see him utilized a lot today. I think just get the ball. Again, he finds the spots in the zones. He finds how to get open. He knows how to get open. Especially for a rookie, it really is crazy to see how much he's already even maybe even new coming into the NFL, but just how much he's already adjusted to the NFL, especially as a rookie tight end. So I think he's a guy that Josh needs to utilize today. And even Dawson Knox too, just utilize the tight end. Get the ball in their hands, let them get 4, 5, 6 yards. We saw it last week. Knox can put his shoulder down into people, and Kincaid can make plays. So utilize the tight ends, and I think Josh will have a perfectly fine game.
Yes, sir. Agree 110%. Rich, Hakeem Richards, Ben Shoop. This is Built In Buffalo Tailgate Live, presented by Picasso's Pizza. We're breaking down the Buffalo Bills at the Washington Commanders in Week 3. And Ben, I want to know. Now we alluded to some of it as we discussed, but I want to know your key or keys to the game on offense. Maybe something that you didn't tell us, or if you want to elaborate on something you told us already.
Yeah, so I talked about the run game a little bit, but I think it's not just going to come down to Damian Harris, James Cook having a good games, read the holes well. It is going to come down to Spencer Brown, Osiris Torrance, Mitch Morse, Connor McGovern, Deion Dawkins. It's going to come down to those 5 guys. They need to be able to get a good push off the ball when running the ball. They need to get a good push. They need to be able to hold up and give Josh a little bit of time to get the ball out, especially in a bad weather game, or even if it's a good weather game, you're facing a good defensive line. You need to be able to get planted. You need to be able to push well and get at least a yard push every time, and maybe not every time, but you need to get it when it counts, when it matters on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. if they can go for it on 4th and 1, they need to be able to execute on those plays. And it's going to be the little things, I think, on the offense. Minimize the penalties, right? You can't see false starts. You can't see holds. That's the one thing I look at with this team. And the only thing I think, unless Josh, throws 4 interceptions, 3 interceptions, I think the trenches on the offense side of the ball, that could be another way that the offense gets kind of out of it, is if the offensive line is losing the push every time, is losing at the battle at the line of scrimmage, even 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, I think the Bills will struggle to move the ball if that's the case. Now, they played a great game last week. Osiris Torrance really looks like he's going to be that guy at right guard. Spencer Brown has played better in these 2 games so far this season. The offensive lines, I think, look pretty solid so far. And I think if they can continue to build on what they did last week, they should have no problem this week. So I think we talked about the run game. I'm going to just push it a little further and say, yes, it's not as much on Harris, Cook, Murray. It is even more so on this offensive line to get the push right off the line of scrimmage and win that battle against Chase Young, Darren Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. I mean, just go down the list. You have to win that battle. We'll see if they can do it. They looked better last week than they did against the Jets, which even against the Jets, I don't think they really even looked that bad against the Jets. So they've improved so far each week. If they can improve again, there'll be no problem. If they take a step back, that's when we can maybe see Josh get flustered. We can maybe see the offense get stagnant. Maybe Ken Dorsey try to force things downfield a little too much. So it's going to just be battle at the line of scrimmage for the Bills offense. Got to win it. Got to win it consistently. You can't be getting mauled 9 times out of 10.
That right there is the key right there. You can't be getting mauled, because at the end of the day, this is the NFL. This is a physical sport. And as much as we see the highlights and the one-handed catches and guys throwing it all over the yard, the game starts in the trenches. In the trenches is where it allows you to make and see those highlight plays, or in the trenches is where you see dominance from the defensive guys or the interior guys getting to the quarterback and rushing the pass rusher. So those are definitely some keys, right? So protecting the football is my main thing for the Buffalo Bills today, because of how the Buffalo Bills are naturally kind of a clumsy team when it comes to holding on to the football. 80-something turnovers in Josh's tenure. And now you combine that with the weather, and then the Washington Stadium is not one of the better stadiums in the NFL when it's, blue skies and sunny skies. So we have all those things, I think, against us. And I think Washington has that advantage, being that they know the conditions of their field already. So it's about protecting the football for the Buffalo Bills. That's where it starts at. Then you want to be able to kind of compound it off protecting the football. You want to be able to limit mistakes. If you are protecting the football, you are indeed limiting those mistakes, but it extends further than that. Pre-snap penalties, right? You don't want to have those illegal motions. You don't want to have those false starts. You want to be able to play smart football during the snap as well. You want to get under the shoulder pads and not on the sides of the shoulder pads where the refs can call holding. You don't want that illegal hands to the face. So the Buffalo Bills are going to have to play sound, smart, fundamental football. And it sounds cliche. It sounds like something you would hear in Pee Wee football, but that is exactly the type of game they need to play today. They need to be able to protect and hold on to the football and let their talent take play and take hold of this game. And beyond that, I think you did an excellent job covering the rest of the offense. You want to be able to run the football. James Cook, you want to be able to compound off of the success he had last week. We have these physical bodies for a reason in Damian Harris and Latavius Murray. We have them to take pressure off Josh Allen, one, and they provide a dimension of physicality for our offense, and that's two. And I think they need to get the ball and show their worth in today's game as well. So I think Ken Dorsey, this is a game where Ken Dorsey can show his Buffalo Bills fans that, hey, I understand the conditions and I can call plays and be successful under these conditions by the type of plays I called because I was prepared to call them. So it's definitely a lot of things I want to see from the offense today and Ken Dorsey, and hopefully they can deliver that good output.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a bigger test than people initially think when you look at this game for this
Mm-hmm.
offense, and it will be a test.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line, right, will have a test. Even getting open with these receivers, and obviously Stephon Diggs, we know, is going to get open on anybody. But
Mm-hmm.
for Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox and Hardy and Sherfield, that's going to be another test for them. So it's going to be a good one, I think, when it comes to this battle between this offense and defense. But at the end of the day, there is a guy named Josh Allen out there who, when on the top of his game, is arguably the best player in football when he's playing at the top of his game. So it's going to be a test, but I think the Bills have, the tools to get through this and put up 20, 30, maybe even 40. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a lot of big dependent on the weather, yes, but at the same time, at the end of the day, the Bills just have to play football and win in the trenches and win where it matters.
I like it. Win in the trenches and win where it matters. Keys to the game for the offense. Move it over to the other side of the ball. Eric Bieniemy, new offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. He's been talked about for several years as far as, being a hot commodity in the coaching circles, possibly for a head coaching job. Now he is on his own too, so to speak. He gets to move away from the shadows of Andy Reid, stand on his own too, and coach this Washington Commanders football team. Is there going to be an adjustment period for the Buffalo Bills because of a new offensive coordinator in Eric Bieniemy, or do you think they have an idea of the offense because he was with Andy Reid in the Kansas City Chiefs for the last several years?
I think they know a little bit, but there's still going to be a little bit of change because when Bieniemy was in Kansas City, I think yes, he had partly his own style, but a lot of it was just Andy Reid, being one of the best in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And now Bieniemy is showing he knows what he can. He knows what he can do. He knows how good of a coordinator he is. So he's already showed it in 2 games the improvement you've seen with this Washington offense from a year ago. So I think you'll see some similarities from that Kansas City offense, but at the same time, every offensive coordinator knows they have to change their game plan week in, week out, depending
Mm-hmm.
on who they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you might see a little bit of adjustment period. I think this offense here for the Commanders are only going to continue to get better. They have young weapons. And I think the Bills defense, they're going to have to get pressure. That's the number one thing to me is when you look at a quarterback like Sam Howell, he's shown that he can be a good quarterback in this league, but he's still young, and you see that in the one that he can hold on to the ball too long. He can take sacks. He's sacked at one of the higher rates in the NFL. He also gets a lot of balls batted down. So that's another thing. You're going to have to get hands up on the defensive line, get those passes batted down, and just get after Sam Howell. Or these receivers have talent. That's the other thing. These receivers have talent, and if you don't get pressure, even though the Bills secondary is very good, guys like Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, they can make you pay. So this defense again I think they'll be okay, but these guys, this is a good team. This is a good offense, and it's not top tier in the NFL. It's not top 5, but it is a good offense in the NFL. They're only going to continue to get better. So I think looking at the defense, there's a lot of things that they're going to have to prepare for, but it's just to me they have to get to the quarterback, and they have to get arms in the passing lanes. Defensive line, you're going to have your hands up. Eddie O, Greg Rousseau does a great job at that. Even AJ Epinesa can bat some passes down. So when I look at this offense and Eric Bieniemy, he knows what he's doing. He's a great offensive coordinator. Should be a head coach one day. I'm still surprised he isn't yet, but he's proving now why he took this job in Washington, to prove that he can be a great great head coach in this league, because everybody already knows he's a great offensive coordinator. So this I think there'll be a little bit of adjustment period. I think you see it every game also with the Bills. I think first two drives of the game, you do often see them. Let's see what they're going to come out with. Let's see how they're going to work offensively. Maybe we do give up an early touchdown, an early 3 points. Yeah, that's all. Whatever, they'll move on. They know that they have a talented defense there. So I think just like every game, you'll see a little bit of adjustment period with the Bills. But you also have to know that if things are struggling early on, this is a team that knows how to adjust. Sean McDermott knows how to make changes to this defense and put his players in the right position, even if it's not working early on. So, yeah, I think Eric Bieniemy could cause some headaches early, but I don't think it will be one that lasts the whole game. And I think that just the talent on the defense side of the ball for the Bills will, at the end of the day, be a little too much for a young quarterback like Sam Howell, young running back like Brian Robinson Jr., just a young offense in general. But, Eric Bieniemy, never got to sleep. You cannot sleep on him. You can't do it because he knows what he's doing.
Not at all. And I think you're absolutely right. We have to get to the quarterback. We have to get to Sam Howell. He's been sacked 10 times this season. He's been pressured in the highest rate in the NFL, I believe, at about 35%, which are being converted to sacks. So that tells me that the offensive line play have trouble keeping him upright. Whoever the front four from Denver and front four from Arizona, or that front seven, they had success getting to the quarterback, and the Buffalo Bills are going to have to do the same. Gregory Rousseau and Leonard Floyd and Tim Settle. This is a game where I would probably make Tim Settle a captain. Go out there against Washington, your former team, that deep defensive line where you couldn't get your play. Let him go out there and be a captain and see what Tim Settle can do in his rotational efforts today. But definitely want to be able to get to the quarterback in Sam Howell. Have to stop the run. Got to be able to stop the run. And in this type of game, the what you can do schematically has limitations on it a little bit because of the weather. So now predictability stands out more. They have to be able to run the ball and be successful. And now you know that. So you have to be able to stop the run. Brian Robinson Jr. is not an elite running back, but he is a solid running back that can get it done. Thick build, physical between the trenches. 18 attempts, 87 yards last week, 2 touchdowns. He is, in my opinion, a solid runner. I compare him to Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams as a running back. He's not the flashiest and he's not the greatest or not the best, but he is solid. He's a north and south runner, and he's going to get it done. And if you can't contain him, he's going to have success. So the Buffalo Bills have to be able to stop the run. The Buffalo Bills have to be able to get to Sam Howell. He's a young quarterback. He's been rattled through the first 2 games, and we have to continue to do so this game. And it's in all games you want to be able to do this, but especially this game, you have to be able to tackle. You have to be able to wrap up the ball carrier and tackle. It's going to be, it's going to be a lot of slipping, a lot of falling. One missed tackle can break a play open, especially in these weather conditions. So you got to be able to play technically sound fundamental football, and they're going to have to be able to tackle. So those are my 3 keys on defense: stopping the run, getting to Sam Howell, and playing technically sound football, tackling the ball carrier.
Yeah, I think this is another big game for Terrell Bernard, right? You just had Kirksey retire, so there's not really too much of a backup plan there for him anymore. It is Terrell Bernard's job to lose, and he would have to play very bad, in my opinion, to lose it to the guys behind him who, frankly, have shown that they're not ready. They're not. Like, the guys behind him simply are not ready. So Terrell Bernard is the guy. He played a better game last week than he did against the Jets. And again, he didn't play horrible against the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
He is looking like he can be the future at that position, but he still has, some little kinks he's got to work out and everything. But he's young. He didn't have really a full preseason to get ready. And I think now you're seeing him finally get comfortable, like we said a few days ago. Just he's getting comfortable, right? He's getting comfortable next to Matt Milano. He's getting comfortable just being a leader on an NFL defense, being the middle linebacker on an NFL defense. It's a lot to ask of a guy who really hasn't played a lot of football yet. So I think it's another big game for him. He's going to have to lead that defense. He's going to have to, get the guys fired up. And if they struggle early, like we said, you just got to move on and get past it and continue to get pressure and get, make winning plays. That's it. That's what it comes down to, is when the plays are there, you have to make them, the easy plays. Like you said, tackling. You have to wrap up. You have to tackle when you should. Yeah, you might not make every tackle in every game, but in the big moments, you have to. On third down, you have to tackle. On third and short, you have to, if you get in the backfield, I want to see him brought down. Sam Howell, I don't like, that's another thing, is you see it a lot too. Sam Howell, they have to bring him down. You can't let Sam Howell escape the pocket, get rid of one tackle like you've seen sometimes with an AJ Epinesa or even a Greg Rousseau, just missed tackles even there. So it's just, tackling, that is one thing that I'm glad you brought up, because it's something that I think a lot of Bills fans have been underwhelmed in the Sean McDermott era with the tackling. Like, they've been an elite defense for so long, and yet the one thing that they struggle with consistently is tackling. And like you said with Brian Robinson, the man he'll run through you. He will take no regard for who you are. Doesn't care if you're Matt Milano or Terrell Bernard. He doesn't care. He will run through you. So they got to wrap up. I like that point that you brought up there. So defense got a lot to worry about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game to watch. The Washington Commanders is not a pushover team. I think they're an underrated team that's very capable, but at the same time, we are the Buffalo Bills. And when I say that, it sounds crazy to maybe I got a fan that's not a fan of Buffalo, but when I say that we are an elite team. We've been an elite team for some time, and we should, even though they're talented and they're underrated, and we're going in their home and it's a bad weather game, we still should be able to take care of business on the road. So, Shoop, give me your predictions for this game. Any predictions, hot takes predictions, score predictions, touchdowns by not a big name commodity. What you got?
Well, I know on Wednesday night we both had the same prediction. I think now that I have a little bit more knowledge of the weather, I'm going to change it a little bit. I originally, I think we both had 37-24. I think we both had originally. I'm going to change it. I think it's going to be a little bit slower scoring. Even if it is clear by the time the game starts, like you said, the stadium it doesn't hold up the best compared to other stadiums. So it still could affect the players. I'm going to go more like, and it's not going to be a huge difference, but I'm going to go 31-21. I think maybe Commanders can get a garbage time touchdown late. I don't think, it'll be super, super, close. I think maybe in the first half it'll be a little close, but I think, like we said earlier, the Bills make good adjustments. Sean McDermott knows how to adjust, at least on the defense side of the ball. So I think 31-21. I think it will be one of those games where it's not a blowout, but it's handled well. The Bills handle them pretty well, I think. I don't think it will be, we're worrying till the last minute. But I'm going to knock on wood there just because, can't jinx it. But I think it will be a good game. I think it will be a good football game that won't be a snooze fest, but it won't be a nail biter either, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go 31-21, Bills win, and move to 2-1.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'll leave your score prediction as the score prediction. I'm going to go ahead and just give a quick hot take. The Buffalo Bills score nothing but rushing touchdowns today. One rushing touchdown by Josh Allen, one rushing touchdown by James Cook, one rushing touchdown by Latavius Murray, and one rushing touchdown by Damian Harris. The Bills will have all rushing touchdowns today. So that's my prediction.
I like it. I might have to place a parlay on that one. Just skipping heads. I mean, that would be awesome. I think that would be. It would be kind of shocking to the NFL. I think, if you're not a Bills fan, if you don't follow the Bills closely, a lot of fans and even players might look at it and be like, "Really? They won and Josh didn't throw any touchdowns." But this offense, it's not the same as it has been in the past few years. They have the guys now. I think they have what they want in this offense, and I think that's a very, even though I think it's a little bit of a hot take, I think it's realistic. You could see it happen too. It's they're going to put the ball on the ground. I'd love to see it happen. Get the running backs involved. Let the running back room have a day.
Let the running back room have a day. Show that this is not the same old Bills. And even though we're still going to pass it all over the yard, we can still make a concerted effort to run the ball if need be. Because that's the thing with the Bills, right? I think that's what they wanted to address low key this season. The bad weather game with the Patriots, they was kind of flushed. They kind of threw off their offense. Couldn't get into the groove of things. I think they are excited for this particular challenge in bad weather because it's been a lot of bad weather and negative talks with the Buffalo Bills. And now when you implement a Damian Harris and you implement a Latavius Murray to go along with a Josh Allen, and you want to run 2 tight end sets with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, the physicality and the approach is now entirely different. And I think they have a point to prove that they can indeed play well in bad weather games. And I think this is the team to do it. And I think today is the day.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think people have been saying it a lot recently. They said it last week. Let James cook. It's that simple. Let James cook and let the other guys behind him finish it off. Let James Cook get the yards down the field, get them down the field, and then let's let Harris and Murray finish off these drives. I do also like that hot take that you just put up there from Roy.
From no targets and no receptions to a receiving TD today. I like that a lot, Roy. I like
it. I do have one hot take though as well, which this one, I don't know if it's as realistic as maybe yours, but I actually saw it from somebody else. They commented on the Built In Buffalo page when we put out who's going to be the unsung hero, and I loved it when I saw it. Christian Benford, 2 interceptions. Ooh. Now, 2 interceptions might be crazy. One might be a little more, but a hot take, I'll say he's going to get 2. Whoever it is, I'll have to find out who it is and give him a shout out next time on the show. If you're in here right now listening, shout out to you for having that one. I like that one. Christian Benford, 2 interceptions off Sam Howell.
I like it a lot. And I know Samuel is playing well, and he had two touchdowns and no interceptions. He's still, in my opinion, in 4 games in, he's still considered a rookie. I know he had that year where he got to sit down, and there's this talk with the quarterback: should you play or should you sit down? Do you get player? Do you process the game better when you sit down for a year? So maybe the game slowed down for him, and he sees it and processes the game better in his second year. But he is still a young quarterback. Sean McDermott is still a defensive-minded coach, and he should be able to throw in a lot of different looks to confuse a young quarterback like Sam Howell. So I'm expecting him to struggle today, and if he doesn't, I'm going to be a little concerned. But I expect the Bills to get after him on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Bills are ready for this. They're built for it. They have the guys. It's just going to come down to execution, which we know in the NFL isn't always a gimme. But, this team's been one of the more consistent teams in the past few years, and I believe it continues today. Commanders, I think they're just a little too young, a little too inexperienced still with everybody, but can't be slept on at all. That's definitely for sure.
Not at all. Can't be slept on at any given Sunday. Ben Shoop, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
Just another big game. 1-1. It's early in the season. That's the other thing I will say. I do always like to say that to a lot of fans as well, is it is week 3. If the Bills do lose, yes, if they get blown out, go crazy, whatever. But if they lose, in a close game, if it's not an ugly game, it's week 3. The NFL is a week-by-week league, it's a tough league. It's a long season. A lot of people think, oh, it's the shortest season when it comes to games in terms of the big four sports in America. But it is a long one, and it's long because you have to wait per game. You have to wait that week. You have to wait that 6 days, whatever it is. So it can stink if they lose, but don't panic if they lose. This is still a top team in the NFL, but I do expect them to come out with the win today. It should be a good game. As always, go Bills, and thanks for everybody for tuning in.
Most definitely. A game that, again, like you said, is week 3. Don't go crazy if we lose, but this is a game that the Buffalo Bills should win. I'm hoping that everybody, knock on glass, comes out healthy out this game. The rain, the stadium, I don't like their stadium. What is it? I forgot. Is it FedEx? Is it FedEx?
I think it's
Field?
FedEx. Yeah.
FedEx. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of stadium. So hopefully everybody on both teams can come out injury free. It could be a good, clean game for both teams, and obviously, ultimately, our Buffalo Bills coming out victorious. And this has been a fun show, good show. There's going to be a lot of discussion on the Built In Buffalo post game. Maybe, hopefully, a lot of good discussion once the Bills and the Commanders play. But we'll see. We'll see at the end of the day. This has been Hakeem Richens, my guy Ben Shoop. This has been the Built In Buffalo Tailgate Live. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I will see you tonight, 7 p.m. for the post game. Myself and Shoop. I'll be on Shoop's Off the Edge this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Tune in. Ladies and gentlemen, go Bills.